I have a lot of social anxiety, and I know I'm not alone in that. I know a lot of people struggle with social anxiety. And lately, I have been really practicing being my most authentic self and continuing to reach out, put myself out there, show up, and be social despite my anxiety about it. And I've noticed that I've been getting better at it. I've been gathering some helpful coping skills for this social anxiety. And I wanted to talk about that and share some of those. And hopefully, maybe some of them can be helpful for someone watching. One of the biggest ways that social anxiety shows up for me is overthinking. Sometimes when my social anxiety is at its worst, I can overthink every single thing that comes out of my mouth, pretty much, when I'm talking to someone else. And especially after I've had a social interaction. You know, my brain will just go over and over. Why did I say that? Oh my God, they probably thought I meant this. And I can really easily catastrophize. And I have a recent example of this, very recent. A couple nights ago, I was texting a new friend, I guess. I don't think we're like officially friends yet, but I'm getting to know her and there's potential for friendship. And I was asking her about her dog, and she told me that he's very nosy and he likes to sit in the front window and bark at people and dogs that pass by. And, you know, I commented on that and said that was really cute and funny. And then I texted her back, I'm pretty nosy myself, I must admit. One of my favorite things to do is take a walk at dusk. And when people start turning their lights on, I peek in to see how they arrange their furniture and wonder about their lives. And she did not respond for a while. And I thought over the text that I had sent, and I was like, holy shit, I think she might think I'm a creeper. Like, that must have come across so creepy. And by the time I was starting to worry about this, it was too late to text a follow-up to that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed, and in the morning, if I want to send a follow-up, I can. And that's something that I've been practicing, is just waiting. Wait and see. Instead of rushing in to my first impulse when I'm feeling anxious, I will try to just wait and let myself sit with my uncomfortable feelings, you know? So I went to bed. I woke up in the middle of the night, as I often do. It's more like 3 or 4. That's usually when I wake up. And when I can't sleep, my brain loves to ruminate on the things that I'm anxious about. And so I thought again about the text, and I was like, oh my God, she probably thought I meant that I like creep onto someone's lawn or like climb up the side of their house or some shit, and like I'm like peering in their window like a literal trespasser. And I was like, okay, all right, maybe she thought that. What I can do in the morning when I wake up is I can text her, whoa, that sounded kind of creepy. Just so you know, I meant a glance from the sidewalk as I pass by. But what if she thinks, okay, whoa, too much, like the damage has already been done, and then we don't actually end up becoming friends because she thinks I'm a creep? And I thought, okay, that is possible. Maybe she will think I'm a creep based on that text, and she'll get the wrong idea about it, and she won't want to be friends with me. That's okay. And that's really hard to do. And in the past, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And so I can see that as growth. You know, telling myself, that's okay. Not everyone is going to want to be friends with me. Not everyone is going to like me. Not everyone is going to understand me. And that's okay. And I asked myself, do I actually want to be friends with someone who doesn't get me? No, because I literally do that. I walk around the neighborhood at dusk And respectfully, from the sidewalk, I will throw a glance at someone's window because I'm fascinated by human beings and their lives. I'm fascinated by how they arrange their furniture, what is on their wall, what art and pictures are on their wall. I think it tells you so much about someone. And I love thinking about, you know, how other people live their lives because everyone is so unique and different. And that's so cool and fascinating. So that is a big part of me. And I want to have friends who wonder about that too. Or at the very least, who, aren't weirded out by the fact that I'm wondering about that. So basically, I was able to reassure myself, like, okay, it's okay. Like, obviously I see potential for this potential friendship, and like, I would really like to get to know this person and potentially become friends, but if that's not meant to be, it's okay. And there are more people that I can be friends with. And it's not the end of the world that I sent this text that could potentially be taken the wrong way. Well, I woke up in the morning and she texted me back and she was like, oh yeah, there's a word for that where you wonder about how people have complex lives, people that you don't even know. And I was like, exactly, yes. And I couldn't think of the word in that moment, but I Googled it and I was like, sonder. Yes, the word is sonder. And so I sent that back to her and I was like, yes, I think about that all the time. The word is sonder, and what a cool word. And so all of that anxiety later, she totally got it. And she did not think I was creepy, and she did not get the wrong idea. So I didn't need to clarify that I wasn't sneaking onto people's property and peering in their windows like a creep. Because it's not that deep. And it's okay that, I sent that text that could have been misconstrued. We are the only people who are in our own brains. And so no one else is going to be able to know exactly what we're thinking and exactly how we feel. And sometimes that's a really lonely realization. But it's also just a part of being humans. And the quest for connection is so worth it to me. And so sometimes when you're trying to communicate, it might not come out exactly right. And that's another thing that I've been reminding myself lately is that I don't have to be perfect. And, the more that I put myself out there, the more that I allow myself to really be myself and to take up space, the more I'm gonna say things here and there that might be a little not exactly the way that I want to say it, And I worry a lot about oversharing. Like, oversharing is something I feel like I can do pretty easily. Sometimes I'm like, whoa, that was an overshare. Especially at work because, you spend so much time with your coworkers and it's just easy to overshare. A work environment is kind of like a dysfunctional family. And so, in my opinion, in my experience. And so, yeah, it's just easy to just like say more than you might have said if you stopped to really think about it. But I'm a human being and human beings are messy. So when I'm worrying about like someone thinking that I'm weird because I said something slightly weird, I try to remind myself that no one is just one moment. Every single person is like a collection of all of their moments. And so if I'm having like mostly good moments with a coworker or a friend, and I say like one weird thing, that one weird thing is probably not enough for them to be like, ew, Ellie is weird. I am done being friends with Ellie. That's probably just not gonna happen. I mean, I know I'm not like that. I'm, a friend or a coworker says something weird once, that's not enough for me to be like, wow, you are completely rejected as a whole person because you said something weird. When I am so focused on trying not to say something weird, trying not to be awkward or off-putting in any way, trying not to be too much, I worry about being too much quite often, then what ends up happening is I just shrink, I fade into the background and I make myself small and I miss out on connecting with people. I miss out on being social because I'm so worried about how I'm being perceived and being rejected because of the fact that I'm a messy human who's not perfect and isn't always going to communicate perfectly. Another recent example I have of this is last weekend in my soccer game. I was playing forward, and I often play forward, and one of my teammates was playing, I think center midfield, but he was coming up to the front to help me quite a lot. And so we were passing a lot to each other, we were working together a lot, and he scored this beautiful goal. Beautiful. I mean, it was spectacular. It reminded me of something on a highlight reel from a professional soccer league. It was clear to him and to everyone else that it was a gorgeous goal. And so he was celebrating. He just got, caught up in the moment, and he was running outside of the field and cheering. And I got caught up in the moment too. I was so amazed by this goal. I was so happy for him, so proud of him as my teammate. And I ran after him and I threw my arms out and gave him a big hug. And, right after that moment, I was like, oh God, oh, that was probably too much. I don't know this person at all. We just see each other on, once a week for an hour playing soccer. We've barely spoken except pleasantries, before and after the game. Wow, that was too much. And, it's in the past, I would have really shamed myself and been like, wow, Ellie, calm down, too much. What you're making a scene, just negative self-talk, shaming myself for getting caught up in the moment and, hugging someone that I don't really know very well. Thankfully, I was able to kind of soften that self-criticism and talk back to it a little bit and be like, it's okay. That was okay. We're teammates. He was celebrating, I was celebrating, and everything's fine. The moment's over and it's not a big deal. It's not that deep. And I don't think he felt, weirded out at all. He hugged me back. We were both smiling really big. And I was saying, great job. That was amazing. Holy shit, And he was like, thank you. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So it was very much, well received. And I'm sure, I know I would feel very celebrated if someone did that to me after I scored a goal. And I think that's probably how he felt too. And then, the rest of the game went on and everybody said, great game, good job, goodbye, and everything was fine. And so I'm learning more as I practice more, just not being so uptight, not being so careful, just being a little bit more free-flowing, a little bit more going with the flow, and just being myself more in a social setting. I'm learning that it's okay. It's really okay. I do not have to analyze every single interaction that I have in a social way. And when I do, inevitably, start to analyze, I have these coping skills of being able to gently talk myself through this anxiety. Like, I don't have to be perfect. Let's wait and see. I'm going to keep trying. I'm not going to give up. I'm okay. I am not a bad person. It's okay to be weird. It's okay to be different. I will find the people who are also weird and different, who like the fact that I'm weird and different. And I want to be myself. I don't want to try to be someone else because that's lonely. It's lonely to try to be someone that you're not just for the sake of acceptance. And so that kind of leads me to another thing that I've been trying that is maybe a little off topic, but I think that it actually really is a great supplement to this coping with social anxiety, which is I'm trying to be my own best friend. I think that's a big part of self-love. There's this song that I found called, actually I don't know what it's called, but the hook of the song is I fuck with myself more than anybody else. And I'm really trying to embody that, you know? I want to fuck with myself more than anybody else. It's not in a selfish way. It's not in an egotistical, like, fuck everybody else way at all. I really truly do believe that when you're able to love yourself, it gives you more authentic love for other people. I just think it's both, you know? I grew up being taught and believing that things were this or that. And I think in so many ways, things are not this or that. Things are both. And when it comes to love, I think that loving yourself and loving other people are just so intertwined. And it can be so powerful when you're cultivating both together. And so that's what I'm working on. And it's not always, pretty. Sometimes, as I said, it's messy. That's okay. It's part of the journey. I'm not giving up. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep being social, and I'm gonna keep going after connection because I really want it. If you have any helpful coping skills that you use for your social anxiety, please put them down in the comments. I would love to hear them.